with this crisis with the coronavirus and me contemplating on the future, and my spirit inspired me to search different messages from different messengers online, and there was a lot of things that were inspiring, and it inspired me so much that there was a message that I felt that I had to put out there with the many messages that's out there. And one thing I realized, that when Joshua was on the scene, he came during a time where people were promised a Messiah that was going to liberate the kingdom of Israel and set them back up, because that's what was promised to them, someone out of the line of David. And when he was on the scene, he was teaching people about the kingdom of heaven. And now, in this time that we're living in, the thing that I feel is missing is that we have to repent. We have to change our mind. And people that are calling themselves Christians, people that want a better life, guess what? With all the chaos that's going on, it seems like unrighteousness in people is what is ruling this current time. People are worshiping money way too much. When I hear the President of the United States focusing on saving the economy and telling people that we can't wait to get back to work, he's excluding the fact that people want to get back to work when they feel safe and they feel that they could go on and not get this virus, and how it's going to impact themselves and their families, people around them. Safety first, right? So I'm going to read a chapter in the book of the Apocrypha, right? And I may go into some breakdowns, but I had to read this. This is the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 1. Check this out, guys. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright. Our life is short and tedious, and in death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave, except for Joshua. For we are born all at adventure. Now I had to look that up. But when I look it up, it means that we are born like out of coincidence, like it just happened. Like we didn't choose to be here. Like we was just born and we open our eyes and we here, right? And we shall be hereafter as though we had never been. For the breath in our nostrils is as smoke, and the little spark in the moving of our heart. Which being extinguished, our body shall be turned into ashes, and our spirit shall vanish as the soft air. Now, this is the mind of the ungodly, of the unrighteous people. Now, when you think about that kind of mindset, where they're not thinking about the afterlife, they're not thinking about being good stewards of the earth, they're just thinking about, we are born here by chance, by adventure, by chance, and we're going to be gone, and we will be forgotten, right? And our name shall be forgotten in time, and no man shall have our works in remembrance, and our life shall pass away as a trace of cloud, and shall be dispersed in the mist, and driven away and the beams of the sun. Then it gets poetic. I'm not going to go through everything. Basically, they're saying our time is short. Come on. Now, this is where it gets deep. Come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth. Whoa. Let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth. Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and let no flower of the spring pass by us. Let us crown ourselves with rosebuds before they wither. Let none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness. Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place, for this is our portion and our lot in this. It gets deeper. But let me just break that down, basically saying, in time of youth, right? When you're young, when you don't have no responsibility, all you're thinking about is enjoying life, no matter what it is, no matter who you disappoint, no matter who you trespass. I'm talking about, what we say, go out and have fun. Don't worry about relationships. Don't worry about getting married. Don't worry about God. Just go out and have fun. Don't be so serious. Enjoy life to the fullest. But then it gets deeper, right? Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. Let our strength be the law of justice. For that which is feeble is found to be not worth. Now it says, let our strength be the law of justice. It also says, let us oppress the righteous man. The ungodly man want to oppress the righteous man, and they want to use the law as the strength to oppress the righteous man. Now, when we look at the way all these countries, all these governments, what is the one thing they have in common? The way they oppress the unrighteous. The righteous with their laws. In all things, in their economy, in their laws, like the banks oppressing homeowners, like the government oppressing the good people, forcing them to go back to work when it's time of danger, lying to them. Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean, contrary to our doings. He upbraideth us with our offending the law, and objecteth to our infamy, the transgressions of our education. He professes to have the knowledge of God, and he calls himself the child of the Lord. See what I mean? He professes to have the knowledge of God. So Christians, Muslims, anyone in some type of religion or some type of belief that's God-based, that are striving to be righteous, no matter what understanding they have of the Bible, the Quran, whatever, the common denominator in those kind of people is that they strive to be righteous. Some, of course, are mixed up, because if you're trying to be righteous, you can't use religion to oppress other religions. That's not what God wanted. When Christ came on the scene, he was talking about changing your mindset and focus on the kingdom of heaven, because there is where you should lay your treasures. Because if you try to make America great again, and you try to make any country great again, without the righteousness of God in fullness within that government, you're not going to have peace. So I believe that we have to look at these governments, and we have to judge them according to the way Christ would judge them. We have to put our mindset, what would Christ do? if he was speaking to Trump? What would Christ do if he was speaking to Putin? What would Christ say if he was speaking to all presidents? Will he be focusing on the economy, or will he be focusing on how you're treating the people? And not only that, Christ would tell them, my kingdom is coming. In fact, my kingdom is here. I'm just waiting for them to wake up and put that kingdom mentality in their brains. The one who's want to follow me. Those righteous people that say this government has to stop. The way we doing things, the way that we are oppressing the poor, the way we are treating the citizens, the economy comes first. We have to die for this economy. You can't have people without the economy. The people come first. The first shall be last, and the last shall be first. In every crisis, the first shall be last. Meaning what? The people on top, the first ones, the richest people, they got to come last. The last people, the least, from the poorest to the poorest, up to the middle class and up, they got to be first. That's the righteous thing to do across the board. There's no discussion. That's what a righteous person would do, a righteous ruler. Now, there are some countries that have done the right thing, that they have put a stop, a pause to mortgages, to rents, to all kinds of bills that's making the richest richer. It's like, hey, we have to put a stop to that right now. We have to deal with this crisis. So to say something real quick, because this is already 12 minutes in. God, the Most High, is looking at all these things. He's going to judge all these governments. All these things is being looked at by the Most High. He's also looking at individuals. Who are you going to trust into? Are you going to trust in me, the Most High? Are you going to trust in your governments, and you're going to follow their lead? But you could do what righteous men do. They judge them according to their righteousness, whether it's unrighteous, whether it's ungodly. They work with them when it's the right thing to do. But when it's with anything that's doing wrong, they say that is wrong. To me, it is wrong for the United States to not put a hold on mortgages and on rents and on any other kind of bill, and wanting the people to get back to work in this time of crisis. Pull a hold on all that stuff. Deal with the crisis first. And then see, the thing about this crisis with this pandemic is moving so slow that you don't know if it's going to mutate, and you don't know if once it gets to a point where you feel you could go back to work, you may inflame it again. It's best to just eradicate it fully. And I don't care if some people are saying that, hey, this is just another flu. This is just another virus like anything else. More people have died from other flus than this. This is new. This is new on the scene. We're not sure how long it's going to last. In fact, the stuff that they're taking right now is the reason why it's not going out of control. So but again, what is the purpose of people downplaying this virus, to saying, oh, this is just a way for people to use this to stop Trump, or use this to arrest some people? I'm with none of that. I'm looking at this as the Most High says my kingdom is coming, and he's waking up his unrighteous people to get them ready for the kingdom. Why am I worrying about this extra propaganda and media propaganda, whether they doing this to catch fear in your heart? When you trust in the Lord, and when you trust in the Most High, when you follow the teachings of Christ, and when you go back to it, you understand that this always will be about the kingdom of heaven coming on this earth. You cannot have the kingdom of heaven on this earth with America, with Russia, with China, with Israel, with Arabia, with Saudi Arabia, with Iran, with Iraq. You can't have the kingdom of God which is the empire of the Most High, which is going to be control of the whole entire planet. You can't have the kingdom of heaven with righteous rulers, with righteousness in our hearts, with competing with this kingdom. So it is time now for mankind to choose. Are you going to trust in your government and you're going to worship money? Or you're going to trust in God and worship the Most High and follow the teaching of his son Joshua Christ, Jesus Christ, and become righteous and start making righteous move. Don't let this righteousness stop when the crisis stops. Oh, everything goes back to normal. So what's the norm of America when the crisis stops? Start kicking people out in the streets when they can't pay the rent. Okay, people that's not working, looking at them like they lazy, that they less than, don't want to help nobody, don't want to give everybody free health care. The problem is this: if you did not make money into your God, if you did not worship money, it'd be easy to take people into the hospital and take care of them. You love money so much that socialism and communism is wicked and it's wrong, this and that. You arguing over a type of government, when at the end of the day, I don't care what you call it. Are you righteous or are you unrighteous? Is capitalism more righteous than socialism? If God was on the scene, as a matter of fact, I will ask the world this: what kind of government will be established in the kingdom of heaven? If the kingdom of heaven could be here right now, if you could get the kingdom of heaven tomorrow, what kind of government would it be? Exactly. You know it. Everybody's supposed to be at peace and happy and disease free. And listen, I will even put it this way, so we could really understand. Let's say the kingdom of heaven was right here with all the issues of diseases, of natural disasters, of food, and everything you ask, everything you could think of, all the negativity that you could think of. Let's say we was being ruled by the kingdom of heaven ideology. People was being righteous across the board. Part of the way that you know the person's righteous is how to treat their fellow man. So, simply said, oh, you sick? We take care of you. Don't worry about the money. Oh, you need a place to stay? How much can you afford? You can afford this? Pay that. Don't worry about it. Oh, you need an education? You want to learn something? How much can you afford? That's what you can afford? Yeah, don't worry about that. The one main thing that will happen in the kingdom of heaven, my brothers and sisters, is we will not be so caught up on, oh, you can't afford this? I can't do nothing for you. Oh, you can't pay for that? I can't do nothing for you. Would that be in the kingdom of heaven? So now, I'm going to read this on because this is important for me. And I want to get this message out. So my point is this: can we continue on in this society with our mindset that if you cannot afford something, you cannot get it? And if you cannot afford to keep something, you have to lose it and start from zero. Is that the way the kingdom of heaven is going to be? And for those who are saying, well, I don't know if I want to be in the kingdom of heaven because I have desires. Okay, what are your desires? I want to live in a nice place. Who says you cannot have that in the kingdom of heaven? Oh, I want to be able to travel. Who says you can have that in the kingdom of heaven? Whatever you desire that's righteous. Oh, I want to be rich. Okay, you're going to be rich in spirit. All right, you'll be rich in spirit. My point is this: we'll be so brainwashed in this system right now that we are God believers, but we don't believe. But we do not believe in the system of the kingdom of heaven that God will establish on the earth eventually. So my point is this, brothers and sisters. Do we want the kingdom of heaven to be established on earth? Or do we want the status quo? Are you happy with this government? 100%? But if you put your trust in God, 100% you'll be satisfied, because now you're thinking righteously. Right now, they got you thinking in greed. And greed is what causing all these disasters. Let me read on. Okay, so now check this out. And I might jump a little bit here and there, because I'm almost done with this. Therefore, let us lie. This is the 12th verse. Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean, contrary to our doings. He upbraideth us with our offending the law, and objecteth to our infamy, the transgressions of our education. He professes to have the knowledge of God, and he calls himself the child of the Lord. He was made to reprove our thoughts. He is grievous unto us even to behold, for his life is not like other men's. His ways are of no other fashion. His way is of another fashion. We are esteemed of him as counterfeits. He abstaineth from our ways as from filthiness. The reason why I have to read this chapter 2, brothers and sisters, in the Apocrypha and the Wisdom of Solomon, because that's the way naturally I look at this government and the unrighteous. Just like this. This is me. Not saying that I'm perfect. Not saying that I don't have my shortcomings. But overall, that's how I look at them. And for me, I think if we want the kingdom of heaven to come into our hearts and to our minds, we have to start speaking out the truth about righteous. And we have to call on righteousness when we see it. When they do something righteous, we have to say, yes, that's right. When they're doing something wrong, we have to say that is wrong. That's not the way that God would do it. That's not the way Christ would do it. According to the Bible, we have the words right here that we could use. All right. He pronounceth the end of the just to be blessed, and maketh his boast that God is his Father. Let us see if his words be true, and let us prove what shall happen in the end of him. For if the just man be the Son of God, he will help him and deliver him from the hand of his enemies. Let us examine him with despitefulness and torture, that we may know his meekness and prove his patience. Now, I'm going to start right here. Right, and there's more to it. I recommend we all read the Wisdom of Solomon and think about the way this was written how many hundreds of years ago. They claim that it was written around 200 AD. They claim that's not part of the Bible. But what I say to this, any book that has some type of inspiration of the Almighty doesn't have to just be in one book. You could find inspiration. A righteous man could read any book and see righteousness in it. It's just that simple. And when you read this portion of the Apocrypha, okay, you realize that this current government is testing, and they have no problem testing the righteousness of man. Oh, you call yourself a Christian? Well, let me put you through all this trouble, and let's see you just stay a Christian. I'm saying Christian in the sense of, because there's a lot of Christians that are not righteous, that don't do righteous deeds. How can you be a Christian and be racist? And I'm not talking about racist. I'm talking about prejudiced racist, where you are so for your own tribe, for your own nationality, that you're willing to destroy the next nationality. And this goes to all people that claim to be of the Bible. At the end of the day, the kingdom of heaven is promised to all that cleave to the nation of Israel. And it's open to a mixed multitude. So the kingdom of heaven, for those who think it's going to be some ethnic cleansing, I have to say this. The kingdom of heaven is promised to all that cleave unto the nation of Israel. And the nation of Israel is supposed to cleave to the Most High. And when Christ was on the scene, he was talking about the kingdom of heaven and those, and was open to those that will follow and worship the Most High. So worshiping the Most High could come from any nation, from any ethnic group. It's open to all that believe in the Most High. And that's it. As far as anybody else that could think different, are you righteous? That's what I have to say. You still got to do righteous deeds. No matter what, you have to be righteous. There's plenty of samples in the scriptures, even within the disciples of the Most High. And Christ showed you. He even dealt with Samaritans. So I'm going to end it right there. I'm going to make a couple of more videos because I don't have a voice that's going to stretch out to the President of the United States and to the governments. But for those that have the voice that can stretch out that far, judge your commander-in-chief with righteousness and tell him to his face, whatever he's being unrighteous, tell President Trump, you're being unrighteous. Don't worry about being fired. If you are who you claim you are, a Christian, then you should be for righteousness, no matter what. The kingdom of heaven's at hand. Let's establish the kingdom of heaven, and let's stop playing games, with these governments. Let them know I'm for the kingdom of heaven. I'm not with any unrighteousness. Peace be all to those that worship the Most High, and peace be all for those that want a better life, that want the kingdom of heaven to be established, that the will of the Most High shall be done no matter what happens in our lifetimes to ourselves. The kingdom of heaven must be established no matter what. And I hope that this message will go out to remind us that the kingdom of heaven must be established in our hearts, in our minds, and we must prepare the way for those that are coming, which is Joshua. Christ is coming. Let's prepare the way and let us be ready. Let us do good while we're here, and let us speak righteousness, the truth and power of righteousness. Let us demand righteousness. Peace be unto you.